Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237, coming at you with one of my last slasher film reviews. And this is one I usually forget about. Seen it a few times over the years, I've had it for a while, and I usually forget about it, but every time I watch it, I'm like, wow, that's a lot better than I remember. House on Sorority Row. Another cult slasher film. The back says 1982, which it had a regional release. 83 it was expanded. We'll call it 82, I guess. RetroSlashers.com says, a surefire choice for fans of creepy movies and those looking to convert to the uninitiated. So yeah, this is one I saw years ago when I first started collecting 80s slashers. And I've always heard this name. I like this cover too. It has, cool horror look. I like the light coming through the window. I love this font too, by the way. Nothing can prepare you for what happens when she fights back. The original cover says, when nothing is off limits. And yeah, this is a reversible cover because this is part of that Katrina's Nightmare Theater. I know Humongous is also like that. I've never watched it with her intro or commentary or whatever. So yeah, the plot is these 7 sorority girls, I think they're law students actually, which is ironic. They want to have a graduation party at their sorority house. But their domineering, mean, old sorority mother, Mrs. Slater, is against it. She always shuts the house down before June 19th. That's an important date. But, the girls, which is the lead girl is Catherine, played by Catherine McNeil, who's also in Monkey Shines, directed by George Romero. But they're kind of under the behest of the character Vicky, played by Eileen Davidson, who would go on to do the biggest, the top 3 soap operas. Because Vicky's with her boyfriend on their waterbed, and Miss Slater comes in. She has a cane with a bird handle and a sharp edge, slices her waterbed open. And Vicky's kind of like Chris from Carrie. Nobody fucks with her, and if you do, then you gotta pay. Sorry, my nose is running. Fucking allergy season. So they decide to have a party, but to sort of show they can do what they want and also don't fuck with us, and also just because they're frustrated with her, they decide to do a good old-fashioned senior prank. But of course, with Vicky, it goes a little too far. Now, the prank is they take her cane, they put it on a little inner tube out in the house pool, which is never kept up with. And they make her, at gunpoint, go retrieve it. And Vicky and one other girl sort of extend it by making it look like, which the gun is loaded, but they make it look like they really mean business. She inadvertently shoots Mrs. Slater, where she's seemingly dead. And then that night at the party, the girls are killed off one by one. Typical slasher fare. But I think it's well done. It feels more like it was more than a slasher film. Just now watching it, I was sort of thinking, if Brian De Palma ever did a slasher film, it would either be this or something similar. It felt like a De Palma film. Also, this might be a cover he would use for a slasher film. Because, it opens up, since this is a slasher film, we gotta have a little history. It opens up some years before a woman gives birth. You find out there's complications. She gets upset. Mrs. Slater, in the beginning, she spends time alone up in the attic in a rocking chair with this musical Jack-in-the-Box. It plays music box music, but it has a little jester in it. So you're thinking she lost her son. Her psychiatrist, we also see before the prank takes place, he's looking at x-rays of her brain. It shows abnormalities. She has a terminal illness. It's going to her brain. And, or, no, I'm wrong. I thought I heard something about terminal illness. The main point of that scene is the abnormalities that he sees in the x-ray shows that she's on the verge of a psychotic break. And that's another thing about De Palma. This movie is known as one of the more Hitchcockian slashers, and De Palma is very Hitchcockian. He's like the modern day Hitchcock. He's very... De Palma, apart from crime films, he's very suspenseful. He knows how to build suspense. So, even though this movie has a twist, the fact he's showing us this, psychotic break, and then it shows these girls tormenting her, it just helps build the tension. It helps the viewers see the tension, but the characters don't know. And of course, the girls, not wanting to get in trouble, they decide to hide the body till after the party, which is why I think it's ironic that I'm pretty sure they're law students. So they cover up with a blanket and they put her in the pool. And then one by one, they have a big party and they're all killed. They're all killed with a cane. Which I know is pretty implausible. Like, there's one scene, even though it looks good, like this one girl, she's in her bedroom, she finds the music box. She walks by, she has like a glass door, like a balcony, glass door with curtains. She walks by and there's nothing. She changes her shirt. When she walks by again, there's a shadowy figure. No music, and I love shit like that. That really creates tension. And I think that's scarier than a boo jump scare. Boo, you're scared now. No, I'm not. So she hears the music box. When she investigates it, it's like an upward angle shot of her, but we see the curtain and the light behind it. We see the shadowy figure. Then all of a sudden the cane, like the bottom part of the cane, comes through the front of her. I know that's implausible. If anything, it would look like this, but for the sake of it being a slash film, I go with it. Like, the first one to get killed is just a guy at the party. He gets it through the neck. And whenever there's like a prosthetic, like a dummy, yeah, it doesn't look that great. Like, it's not Tom Savini quality. And when it goes through his throat, or one girl, she's in a van and Kane comes through the sunroof, because these frat boys are going to use the pool, they turn the lights on. They realize the body's not in there. They find her body somewhere else. So they're trying to move it. A good chunk of the film is them trying to move it while the party's going on. So a girl's in a van to help meet them where the body is. Killer comes in, hits her in the hand, and the hand looks pretty hokey. But it is fairly bloody, not gory, but bloody. And I think where, I watch this once in a while, maybe I don't appreciate it. But going through my entire slasher collection and just seeing some pretty bad ones, I have a whole new appreciation for this. And I think this is a pretty damn good, I wouldn't say underrated because it is a cult classic, but I don't hear a lot of people talk about it. There is this great shot in the beginning when the party's going on before any of them get killed, where it's this great panning shot of each girl sort of looking over at the other one. Every other one, foreground and background, is out of focus, but they're in focus, and it just pans over to the next girl. They're all looking at each other, kind of worried. Yeah, so they all get killed with the cane, except for this one girl. She depends. I guess a sorority house has like a bathroom, like stalls and stuff. I always thought it was like a house, like in Black Christmas. She defends herself with a knife, but the killer uses it on her, gets her in the neck, blood goes everywhere. It is a fairly bloody movie. So then, I'm going to say spoiler alerts, because, there's a twist. There is a twist. I highly recommend this for slasher fans. If you haven't seen it yet, for 82, early 80s, this one surprisingly stands out to me now. I think it's better than some of the other ones out there, so definitely check this out. It's worth it. So spoilers from here on out. When the girl that got the knife, she got attacked. And, the lead girl, Catherine, who kinda, I liked her in this movie. I liked her performance. That's actually one thing I can praise overall is the acting. It was actually pretty surprising. Which sort of, with the atmosphere, the acting, the quality, the tone, it all feels like a De Palma film. It is very well done. She kind of looked like Kristen Stewart from Twilight, but with a lot more emotion. I mean, granted, she's worried and intense most of the film, but still more facial expressions and emotion. She finds a emergency contact necklace or tag. So she calls it, and it's a psychiatrist that was looking at the x-rays. So he's like, stay put, I'm coming. He comes, and then there's the revelation. 24 years ago, she did have a son. Mrs. Slater did have a son named Eric. Born on June 19th. That's why she always closes the house down. But he was born... Well, first, she was infertile. She couldn't have kids. And this doctor was known for... Is he a psychiatrist or a doctor? It wasn't really clear. I was uploading other videos and watching, during the beginning. But back then, he was prescribing this experimental fertility drug. And Eric was born deformed due to the drug's side effect. So they kind of kept Eric hidden. So now he gives Catherine a sedative to use her as bait because he wants to trap Eric to cover up his crime. Using an experimental drug. And someone comes through the door, and unfortunately it's her date named Peter, who was, they kind of make him look like an 80s dork, but, he was a nice guy. You felt bad for him because he is a nice guy, and he's trying to have a good blind date with Catherine, but, she has all this shit on her mind. I really think you should leave, and he feels bad. He walks in and gets shot by the doctor. And then, this was really weird. She's kind of tripping out over the sedative. And this double glass door is open. And you get these, strobe cuts. This couple dancing. They're, spinning dancing. But it's a quick cut. So they're there, they're not there. They're not there. Then she's Mrs. Slater. But her cane is always there. Her cane's just spinning by itself. Mrs. Slater standing there, or Mrs. Slater's there with all the girls behind her and they're dead. It's just this, and the music's all eerie. Then, they all sort of do this, Silent Hill nurse kind of turn. Not as intense to, walk away while it's still kind of stroby. So, Catherine, and this sort of shit always freaks me out. Because I have a lot of dreams like this. I think it's common. When I see it in movies, it kind of... that's what scares me, is when, not the hallucinations, but she's drugged up and she's trying to make it to the attic where, Mrs. Slater was. But, she's drugged, so she's slow and she's stumbling, and the doctor's chasing after her. Just whenever I see someone that is, tired or drugged up or can't move fast being chased, I have recurring dreams like that. It's kind of fucked up. Freaks me out. But of course, then, that's when you get the iconic shot of Eric in the Jester outfit, which is the same as the Jester in the music box. So by that point, you learn the brain scan he's looking at was Eric's, not Mrs. Slater's. He's the one on the brink of a mental breakdown. And there's even a part when they're devising the plan for their prank. Catherine looks up at the attic window and sees it, like shut, so she knows someone's up there. Eric lives in the attic. That's why Mrs. Slater spends time up there. And of course, there's the final girl, killer tussle, killed with the cane, falls down the stairs. End of movie. Right before it ends, killer's eyes open. So, which is cliche, but it's all right. At least they didn't make a sequel of it. I got to give it that. There was a remake sometime in the 2000s, which remake was in 2009, and I thought it had Danielle Harris in it, but it doesn't. It has Carrie Fisher, so that's cool. But yeah, I've seen trailers and I've seen clips of it. It looks, to put it nicely, fucking typical of modern day slasher remakes. Pointless. This, though, I can definitely say is a classic. I myself underrated this one quite a bit for quite some years because I think I've always favored ones like Friday the 13th and The Burning, Maniac, and Halloween, Silent Night, Deadly Night. And this one sort of fell by the wayside, but now watching them all together, this one stands out quite a bit. I'm actually kind of glad I waited a little towards the end to rewatch it, because it just gave me a whole new appreciation for it. I thought it was damn good. The cinematography, the acting, the kills were a little hokey because it's all with a walking cane, but I could go with it. At least they were bloody. The characters, of course, Vicky, where she's the ringleader for the prank and sort of the Chris from Carrie. She got the worst bloody death, so that was awesome. I liked the final girl, Catherine. I did like the killer when he was in, full jester outfit. I thought that was creepy. That whole scene is well shot. Almost, not really, but kind of almost like a fisheye lens, but not really. Like it's kind of surreal and dreamlike. If you've seen it, you know what I mean. But yeah, very solid 80s slasher. I underrated it myself. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it yet. But that's House on Sorority Row, so thank you for watching.